Hi, everyone, and welcome to Small Steps, Big Life. My name is Nathan Aswell, and I'm based in White Rock, BC, Canada. That's about 40 minutes south of Vancouver. And today it is my pleasure to welcome back someone that I interviewed last summer before I was doing the show on Blab, Diana Ing, known locally as the Labyrinth Lady. And I'd like to welcome you, Diana, very warmly today. Thank you for coming back and saying yes to another adventure.
Thank you, Nathan. Each
So,
one of these shows is certainly an adventure.
it is. We spent an awful lot of time, for those of you tuning in. Diana and I went through an awful lot to work out some Mac and PC issues, and by golly, she's got me straightened away for helping anyone else deal with this now. And thanks to the good folks at Blab who were kind enough to give me some great tech support yesterday so that we can do this easily and gracefully from here on in. But enough about that. Diana, I know your story well, and it was my great pleasure to read your book, which we'll get to in a minute. Before I asked you to come back, I read it over the last few weeks, and I actually went and enjoyed some of the labyrinths in it. So we'll get to that. But
Great.
before all that, before you were the Labyrinth Lady, tell us tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from Vancouver? Just let's give people a little background about who you are and where you've come from and how you got to this point.
Well, I grew up in Vancouver
Mm-hmm.
and actually East Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
I went to BCIT for my nursing diploma, worked in the hospital for a little while, and decided I wanted my degree. Went to UBC and got my Bachelor of Science in Nursing,
Mm-hmm.
graduated, and I was super excited about public health nursing,
Mm-hmm.
prevention, the aspect of disease prevention and health promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Went into that field for 15 years, and it came for a change. There was an event in my life that I needed to make changes. Went back to school for my master's degree. When I was shopping for a graduate school, I looked at nursing, looked at psychology, looked at social work. Nothing really interested me. At that time, I was middle-aged, and I was going back to school for myself, not for my teacher, not for my career, although there was some career stuff in it. Ended up getting my Master's of Art in Leadership and Training from Royal Roads.
Mm-hmm.
From there, I did a bit of teaching in post-secondary in both nursing and the School of Business, if you can believe it.
I can believe it.
I did. I'm a hard worker, boy.
Yes, you are.
Ended up decided I'm going solo. I'm going to be an independent consultant to organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So I now teach organizations, and recently I've gotten more gigs speaking at professional development days. I teach people mindfulness and walking meditation, mainly in the areas of stress management,
Mm-hmm.
collaboration, teamwork, leadership development, diversity training.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done some strategic planning, visioning, and goal setting with some other organizations as well.
Okay.
So that's about sums it up.
Boy, that's a setup, all right.
Formal education.
Yeah. So there's a whole lot of information there. So I would like to go back. There's what I call a turning point, and I think you would probably call it too, which you speak about in the book, that I think, ended up really leading you to your work with labyrinths. Can you tell everybody that story, please?
Well, I worked 15 years in an organization. I got into a conflict with my supervisor, and we just could not resolve it. We couldn't. It was quite traumatic after being there for so long. I come to understand that they knew very little about what I actually did, what front staff workers did.
Mm-hmm.
I came to the point I couldn't look at my superiors anymore, or the leaders. I had to leave. So I did.
And you left not knowing what was next.
No, not
Right.
knowing what's next. Luckily, I have a supportive family, so finances, I'm not like begging for food, and
Right.
I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to try. I'm willing to live a life my way.
Right.
We only do this once, Nathan.
That's right, we do. Well, I guess there are other people that would disagree with us, but okay, I'll just say yes for now.
As far as I know, I
Yeah,
mean, we could, as far as I know,
yeah.
I should preface that.
So this turning point that you had with this superior that you just could not get on the same page with, how did that lead to your interest in labyrinths?
Well, in graduate school, I stumbled on the labyrinth. A colleague of mine, a classmate, she took white chalk and drew a pattern on an empty black asphalt parking lot with very little instructions. 60 of us filed in and walked the labyrinth. And I remember my head was so full of information from one entire day of reading, spitting back out. You have to produce, right? And a
Hmm.
discussion, engagement. I could have severed my head. I could have unscrewed my head and put it on a table somewhere. I was so disconnected.
Uh-huh.
And as I entered the labyrinth and as I walked it, I just remember that sensation of my head coming back into my body. And
Mm.
I can remember seeing the sky, how beautiful it was,
Mm.
that the orange was faded into the ocean, and the ocean and the sky was becoming one blurred line. And I can remember feeling my body, my legs, my arms, uh, being so peaceful and mindful back into the present moment. It was incredible. And it was at that turning point I thought everybody needs to do this. Every single person. Like, why do we get into such arguments? Like, what really matters? Uh, how do I big questions came out of it.
Mhm.
Diversity training. All there were 60 of us. We were all very different.
Mm.
Leadership training. I got to meet people from the police department, nutritionalists, some people from the law department, from immigrations. So we were all from a different background. We spoke a different language, kind of like connecting with you. I don't know anybody from a singing kind of a celebrity world. Remember, I'm
Uh-huh.
from a nursing, 15 years. That's all I knew.
Yeah,
We all spoke the same language. We came from the same culture.
yeah.
And it was being in that different environment that I realized we all swim in our own fish bowls. I don't know if you understand that or
I
whether
do.
I make
Yeah,
sense. You
yeah.
have to be out of it, and you have to be with other people to realize how different things spoken in different ways could mean the same thing.
Mhm. So there
And
you
that's how
are.
I stumbled on the labyrinth. And I
Beautiful.
thought the world must have it.
Yeah. So okay, so you're on fire. You have this experience. It's completely transformative, and as everybody who shares their journeys tells me, there's inevitably some people who help you in your vision. So
Yes.
who helped you in your vision? What was next? What steps happened after that?
Well, I brought my story. Actually, I was bubbling with a lot of excitement. And there's a doctor, no, her name is Reverend Dr. Lauren Artra. She's like the mother of this labyrinth movement, which I did not know about. However, once I was connected to my colleagues about labyrinth walks, an email just kind of came. And she was here doing a conference about labyrinth walks. I
Hmm.
had to go. Fortunately, I got the blessings of my employer. Then I worked for the university,
Hmm.
and another email came around. It said we have this pot of money. It needs to be spent. Submit and proposal. If we like it, it fits our criteria. You get the money. I did. I submitted it as it with the framing of a teaching learning tool,
Beautiful.
and the money came. I took it and went to Reverend Dr. Lauren Archer's conference, spending that 1.5 days with a group of different people again. There was a PhD student in there. There was horticulturist. There was a musician composer like yourself, and trying to think now. There was a instructor, organizational development person.
Hmm.
So again, I was with a group of people who were just set on fire with this labyrinth. So it legitimizes again that everybody's got to have one of these labyrinths and everybody's got to walk it.
Hmm. Beautiful. Now, most people who would be on fire, and I'm thinking of all the people that you're talking about right now in this room that you're describing, these artists and, people from all kinds of walks of life, it would have been enough for them, I'm assuming, like most of us, to then find labyrinths and walk them as often as possible. But your vision was stronger than that. You then had a desire to actually create one. So tell us about that.
Well, I went back to my normal day of life, which included church. I belonged to the South Fraser Unitarian, and told some people there, I have to have one of these. We've just got to have one of this. And one of the ladies said, why don't we hand dig a labyrinth? We'll just, each one of us, it's a small congregation, will buy a small brick and we'll just hand dig a path, embed these bricks for path, and that's our labyrinth. Doesn't have to be fancy. However, in doing that, we had to be in touch. We discovered we had to be in touch with the city of Surrey because the property belonged to them. And they did not want us building a labyrinth there. They said, you can go to another part. And by the time they sent me to about the second park, people's energy kind of faded. I just went along, and after several parks, I met the park manager, who himself was also a labyrinth lover. We got together and made it happen. So I would say the stars were in the right alignment. I met the right people, and I was not willing to give up.
Beautiful.
I would say that made it happen.
Yeah, that's what I love about that story is your single focusedness on having this happen and not letting anyone or anything get in the way until you realized it. So
I think you're lovely, Nathan. Some people call that stubbornness.
Well, call it what you want, Diana. You got the job done, which is wonderful. Now, again, so you finally find the right place. You find someone. I think it's beautiful that you found this person. I'm not quite sure what his title was. Not groundskeeper. What word would you use?
Parks manager.
Parks manager.
Parks operations manager.
Yeah. So what a sweet thing for you to find this guy who's on the same wavelength as you are. And so he helps you to create this thing. And then you take it a step further.
Yes. Well, I really created a beautiful labyrinth. It's 42 feet in diameter. It's large. It has its borders are of granite pavers around the borders and crushed gravel for people to walk. If I could invite, if anybody's listening, to go to my Facebook page, they will actually see the labyrinth. It is stunning and beautiful. When I go to visit, I don't see too many people walking it. And I go, so the world doesn't know about it. Here's this beautiful, beautiful structure with deep significance, and people are not walking it.
Well, sorry to interrupt you. Let's start by telling people for the first time what your website is. We'll mention it again, but here it is for the first time.
www.facebook.com Vancouver Labyrinth.
Okay.
I think there's a slash in there.
Okay. So on Facebook, a group called Vancouver Labyrinth.
Yes.
Labyrinths, I guess, with an S?
No, just Labyrinth. Vancouver Labyrinth.
Vancouver Labyrinth. Okay. All right.
You will see my Facebook page, and there's all kinds of pictures on there.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So you create this, but there's a particular point of the story, the next thing that happened is what I wanted you to talk about. So you create this wonderful labyrinth, and then you go to the mayor of Surrey. For those of you who don't know, Surrey is one of the municipalities right beside Vancouver, sort of beside and to the south and east of Vancouver. Anyway, so you go to the mayor and you say,
yes,
I would like to.
Yes. Well, I decided everybody needs peace, and I want to bring myself into the world in a much larger way, and I want to create a day of peace where we recognize, just spend 1 hour walking the labyrinth to promote peace and to encourage each person to think about what does that mean to us, to each of us. I'm certain we all have different definitions. Life is a struggle, and so I went to the city mayor and
Mhm.
council,
Mhm.
and lots of emails went back and forth. We drafted some proclamation, and they agree. That's another story.
And they agreed to designate a day as.
The first Saturday of each May at 1 o'clock, it's called Surrey World Labyrinth Day, which we invite everyone to come out and walk the labyrinth. And the intention is it's piggyback up on the World Labyrinth Day, where labyrinths from all over the world, or labyrinth keepers from all over the world,
Mhm.
walks the labyrinth on that time at 1 o'clock, and the intention is to send out a wave of positive energy, to set out good intentions for the entire world. And people who do this wishes goodwill to mankind. Whether it happens or not, we do it because this is what we want. It's a vision.
Beautiful. And so,
Yes,
what year did that happen for the first time?
that was 2 years ago, and this
2015.
would be the third year.
Okay.
And I just received word from our new mayor and city council. They are going through with it again.
Mm-hmm.
So they send me a plaque every year in gold. I should have got it with me.
That's okay.
I now have a 2016. They'll proclaim it in May, and they'll send it to me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's give people a look at your book. Why don't you hold up your book for a second so people can see it? Walking the Labyrinth. And as I was saying just before we got started, I made a point of reading it in the last week or so before we got together. Wonderful read. That's a picture of the labyrinth you were mentioning right on the cover there, as I now know.
Yes.
Because I made a point of going and walking it, and I found another one in your book which is very close to me, about between a 5 and a 10-minute drive right from where I'm sitting. And I enjoyed that one even more than the one that you have on the front cover there. So, go ahead.
In my in the book, in
Mm-hmm.
the back, there's
Mm-hmm.
a directory of local
Yes.
labyrinths, and the idea is to encourage people to go and discover them and walk for themselves. They each one have slightly different energy and a different style.
Yeah. And are you in touch with, I haven't asked you this yet, Diana, are you in touch with other people in Canada who have this passion that you do? Because I'm not aware of other labyrinths in Canada. I've certainly seen many in the States, but I don't know about Canada.
There is a group called the Northwest Coast Labyrinth Keepers, and their energy comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to say, I love doing what I do, and not a lot of people would do this, put in the much of energy that I do. I'm gonna say there's not a whole lot of money in it.
Mm-hmm.
So people come in and they go, they come and they go.
Mm-hmm.
In the States, it is a lot more popular
Mm-hmm.
in the States. And I understand there are labyrinths in the hospitals, labyrinths in seniors' homes, labyrinths in even corporations,
Wow.
because they are they're more privately funded.
Mm-hmm.
Like hospitals are privately funded, seniors' home are privately funded, and I guess their population is much larger,
Mm-hmm.
so the exposure for labyrinths is more there,
Mm-hmm.
or per capita. Yes.
So as I say to everybody when I'm doing these interviews, I'm always thinking about the 4 questions or the 4 points that I make in my talk, small steps, big life. So we've looked at a couple already, kind of what got you started. Second is, who did you ask for help or who supported you in your vision? So my next question for you is, what is it that makes you persist in your vision? What makes you keep at it? Especially because, as you've just said, it's not something where it's not about money. Well, although it's pretty clear to me that you didn't get into it for money. That wasn't your reason. But what is it that makes you continue with this passion?
I really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Really enjoy it. I don't mind going to different groups and telling them about it. And I believe I'm contributing something big with my life.
Yeah. And because this is something you're doing in your spare time, right? On top of your very busy life.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I'm leaving a legacy. The park is a legacy. My book is a legacy. My ideas, my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
We need it.
Absolutely, we do. Yeah. So the last question I'd like to ask is, what kind of challenges have you experienced? I guess what I've heard you say so far is it seems like the real challenge has just been people that, perhaps start out with enthusiasm and then fall away. And so I think the biggest challenge you've felt is it's been hard to meet other people who share your passion. This has been a very solitary kind of experience for you, for the most part. Is that true?
Yes. Yes. Well, labyrinths are still sitting on the fringe. It is not mainstream. And mindfulness and walking meditation came out of the Buddhist practice.
Right.
Although it doesn't have to be linked with Buddhism.
Right.
And out in our Western world, we're more familiar with sitting meditation. There are other forms of meditation, such as lying, standing, and walking. I just love walking. This fits into my belief, my philosophy of how to my mind to see richness, to see insight, and the labyrinth fit. I jumped on.
Wonderful. So we know about the Labyrinth Day, which is coming up at the beginning of May. What's next in your vision? What would you like? Where would you like to go next with all this?
I would like to continue having more speaking gigs, and as well go and introduce mindfulness to any organizations or groups that are interested in an alternate method to stress management. It's proven effectively that mindfulness meditation works, and I, like I already mentioned, I do training in diversity. I do training in leadership, communication. So, any group or organizations that are having troubles, give me a call. That's where I'm going.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I was going to ask you something.
Can I show you another photo?
Please. Yes, please.
So that's another photo of the labyrinth.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see it well.
Yes,
there.
I can. I will remember that picture. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
It's taken at another angle.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to show you. So this is the labyrinth I built with one of the schools.
Right. Mm-hmm.
At Forest Grove.
Mm-hmm.
One of the schools. They are the first school,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, in the Metro Vancouver area to have a labyrinth on site.
Right.
And when they hire me to do staff training and to build that labyrinth, they were working with Goldie Hawn's meetup. It's called Mind Up program.
Okay.
And it's I understand she's donated lots of money to UBC to come up with a program to help children to self-regulate. So to encourage children to develop more emotionally balanced and to manage themselves
Mhm.
And again, then, it's a way of decreasing bullying, a way of creating more effective people, getting
Mhm.
people to work together better.
Mhm. Um,
So this, uh-huh,
Go on. I
yes,
didn't.
it's quite exciting. The
Yes.
ones that, hear what I say and agree with it and likes it,
Hmm.
we're on a new movement.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you're right at the front of the line, which is wonderful.
Well,
Um, well,
I was,
Diana, what's that?
it's it's a challenge and it is wonderful. It's
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of all of those who come to know and appreciate Labyrinths through you, thank you, because I do think what you're doing, your passion is quite clear. And reading your book was quite lovely because I've certainly been aware of Labyrinths for a while, and I too much prefer walking meditation to sitting meditation. So it was really resonating with me as I was reading it. But the thing that I'd like to talk a little bit about is what I really enjoyed most about the book is the way you expanded not the definition of labyrinths, but the impact that it can have. I think it was. I think that what I want to say, the best way to say it is expanding what walking the labyrinth can do, the benefits of walking the labyrinth. So you're in the process of writing another book
Yes.
and exploring the relationship between labyrinth and leadership.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Well, I've only gotten a couple of paragraphs. I need
That's
to get my butt in the seat. But I have lots of ideas.
uh-huh.
I think it's definitely I need to refine my thought. And what does leadership mean? Does it mean um, having a stick and over people, making them do things, or is it more of a collaborative that we look at each other's perspective and maybe negotiate a reality that a shared reality versus mine is correct and yours is not, and you're going to do what I'm going to do, and looking at the structures in our organizations and looking at yeah, how can we get people to work better together?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so something I assume where you're going with that is when people walk the labyrinth, there's a way that they just kind of settle more into their bodies and just, stop, the chatter or turn down the volume on the chatter so that they can just be more present to each other and figure out how to
Yes.
collaborate better. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I guess exercises where you would have entire teams walking a labyrinth together and then sharing their experiences with each other, that sort of thing.
Actually, I have done that in with team development.
Mhm.
I've used the labyrinth twice. I've done it once as a team development, and that was very effective.
Mhm.
I asked a question: what does an effective team look like, and how do people behave with each other? I mean, they sound like elementary. We need to visit those questions sometime.
Yeah.
We all know it.
Yeah.
Yes. The other time is I know I was hired to work with a group of newcomers to Canada.
Mhm.
They have to reinvent themselves.
Mm.
Credentials were no longer accepted, and they're under a lot of stress. They're looking for work, and we walked the labyrinth together to just settle their mind and their body, and for them to come up with how do we manage stress and what is a new vision for yourself, and setting some goals. And once people are relaxed into their bodies, they're more willing to share,
Mhm.
and people are a lot they're more supportive to each other.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So the other thing that I really enjoyed about the book, and I find this fascinating, my sense of a labyrinth is, something around the dimensions of what you're saying, 42 feet across or, thereabouts. And yet in your book, at the end, you have several, well, you speak about the finger labyrinth throughout the book, but at the back, you have some products that are available on your site, which surprised me because they really expand the definition of labyrinth and how we can feel the power of the experience, even without necessarily walking it, or certainly not walking either not walking something in those general dimensions, or not even walking it at all. So I'm thinking specifically, you have a couple of vinyl labyrinths that you sell. One is about 17 by 17, I think, and another one that's even smaller. It's apartment size. And I looked at those and I thought, really, like what? I've never experienced that. I've never experienced walking one of those smaller paths, and I'm wondering what that would feel like. And even more amazing is the finger labyrinth, which I've never even heard of. A labyrinth which is, I think, about 12 inches in diameter. Oh, you have one handy, I'm sure. There you go. And yeah, and that you just close your eyes and trace the route of the labyrinth with your finger.
Yeah.
I mean, that just amazes me now. So have you had people speak? Obviously, you have used it and continue to use it often. Tell me what that's like. I haven't experienced it.
You know what's really neat, Nathan? I get an idea. So I made the wooden finger labyrinth, these ones,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I was told that people on days that they don't get to the labyrinth, how they can't walk it.
Right.
And this is the West Coast. We get a lot of rain and sometimes snow, right?
Yeah.
So I decided I could make something portable and they can take it back. So you never know, how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
So I made 100, and they went. People bought them, and one of the women told me the story that she carries it with her. Can you imagine somebody carrying this in a bag with them?
Wow.
Wherever they go? She does.
Wow.
She carries it to work. She carries it home, and she tells me she even takes it on holidays.
Wow.
And she tells me that when she does her finger labyrinth first thing in the morning when she gets up, and she sets the intentions for the day. And when she comes home from work, she does her finger labyrinth again. That is something that she does to tell herself to be mindful that she's back into her role as a mother and wife, and she's let go of her role as employee. And before she goes to bed, she does her finger labyrinth again. And she says it's helped her shed the chatters, the angst for the day, and it's helped her sleep better.
Amazing.
So I get a few stories, and I get encouraged. So I go and do more.
Amazing.
That's where that came from.
And the thank you for sharing that. It's an amazing story. I mean, I guess what I'm hearing, the more I hear about labyrinths, is, and no surprise really, that people can use it any which way. People can use it in a number of different ways and will benefit in a number of different ways depending on how much consciousness they bring to it and how regularly they enjoy the process. And can you speak a little bit about people sharing their experiences about using those smaller models I was talking about, the vinyl one and the apartment size one? And
yes. So this is the 19 feet by
19. Okay.
One. And that's the one, I don't think I shared that after the labyrinth was built, I noticed not enough people know about it. So I decided to take paint and draw one on canvas. So I do have one. I painted it, I put it on the driveway, and I painted one on canvas.
Wow.
And I took it to groups. And I got such positive feedback that I continue to do it. So I made its replica so that large groups can have them.
Right.
And a few groups have bought them from me. Mostly churches, and they take them out during special events.
Right.
For folks to walk, and some rent them from me.
Wow.
As well. It's on my website. The little ones I'm just toying with. I've got little ones. And that the idea came, people say they want to do mindfulness in a more personal way. They don't want to there's some things they don't want to go to a large group. So I'm playing with this now. There you go.
Wonderful.
And Vancouver, housing is very expensive. Most people don't have a large area for them to have. So 6 feet by 6 feet seems to work well. and that's how it's coming about. My work evolves. People give me feedback. I like it.
Yeah.
Uh, then I'll change it a little.
Yeah. Wonderful. So tell us about your labyrinth practice. How often do you walk it? And, for how long? Are there certain types of day that you do it? And so do you walk it at your house? Have you got something at your house that you've created?
I'm impressed with you, Nathan. You read my book.
Yes, I did.
You did.
I did. But I didn't. I don't remember what you wrote about something at your home, though.
Yes. So that's
that's
the
right.
labyrinth.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
On my patio.
Right.
My brick patio. One year it was. They had to do some work in the backyard, and the work had made the old bricks all came. I needed a new patio.
Uh-huh.
And my family knows I love labyrinths. They go, why don't you embed one in the patio, and it'll serve for, it's very special to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the family could use it as a patio as well. And that's what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't walk the labyrinth every day.
Okay.
I walk it maybe every other day.
Okay.
Yes. And having said that, I have to say, I also do yoga. I would say yoga is, meditation in motion. It's very meditative.
Mm-hmm.
So I do yoga. I do walking meditation in the labyrinth. I go for long walks.
Mm-hmm.
I do Zumba as well. I try to do movement, anything that would help me get out of my head into my body.
Yeah.
And I get to a point where I really love stillness and I love quiet.
Yeah.
That means no radio, no TV, no cell phone, no internet, and I just get nature. So it'll be like I only hear birds, maybe the ocean, trees, no chatters.
Yeah.
I find the older I get, or maybe society is changing so much, there's a lot of white noise, just lots of noise.
Yeah.
And to be whole and to be positive takes a lot of work. Yes.
Are there certain times of day that you like to walk? Do you like to walk early in the morning and late at night, or just any time that you can?
Anytime. So I really fell in love with walking the labyrinth on my patio even more during writing my book, because I set a goal. I wanted to achieve it, and there would be times I go to the computer and try to type, and no words would come out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked the labyrinth, and I get a few more sentences, and it jostled my brain, and I would write a little bit more. So I've used it that way. Yes.
Beautiful.
And problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, I've walked the labyrinth if I have a problem that's bugging me, and I'm not sure what to do with, how to solve it or how to word it. Reframing is so important.
Yeah.
How to solve it in a dignified way, and I would walk the labyrinth or do some yoga. Yes, I need to get all of my head into my body, and things just flow.
Yeah,
I trust that.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, wonderful, fantastic. The day in May, the first Saturday in May, is information about all that on your website?
It will now.
Okay.
I'm gonna. Another thing to do, Nathan.
All right. Sorry to give you one more thing to add to your pile there, Diana. Busy gal.
No, Nathan. This is reality.
Yeah.
Having said, having talked negatively about the computer, it's not going away.
Yeah.
So we have to grow with it, and we have to manage it.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to use it as a tool for us and not be a slave to it.
Yes. So this is my proclamation. It's in
Yes.
the book.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people can see that.
Yeah.
And yes.
Beautiful.
So I'm thrilled that the city council are willing to work with me, and I'll do another one.
Yep.
This year,
Yep.
2016, May 7th at 1 o'clock, Fleetwood Park.
Beautiful.
Come out, Nathan.
I can. I will if I can. If I'm going to be here that Saturday, I will absolutely.
Yeah.
And now that I know exactly where it is, it was fun for me to go to it and think about you as I was walking in. And
Yes.
Lovely.
How was your experience like down? I know you went to the one in South Surrey there.
Yes, I must confess that I like that more because I have the oceans and water are just extremely powerful to me, and
Yeah.
from that labyrinth, you can hear the wind rustling through the trees. You can see the ocean.
Yeah.
There are people walking by, but there's no traffic.
Yes.
And so I felt it literally felt that labyrinth feels like it's sort of carved out of the forest. There's forest
Yes.
all around it. So it's a wonderful spot to walk the labyrinth and be quiet.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
So have you walked in that list of labyrinths that you have at the end of your book? Have you walked all of them? Have you tried all of them?
No,
Okay.
I need to do that. I've done the one you went to,
Yeah.
and Fleetwood Park, I do go pretty often myself.
Mhm.
And the one at the St. Paul's
Yes.
Anglican Church.
Yes.
I think they're the first church in Metro Vancouver to have one in the inside.
Right.
Yes, and yes, the others, like the churches that are inside, with labyrinths indoor, I've not accessed. But the outdoor ones, the churches with labyrinths on their outside of property,
Mhm.
if it's not gated, I need to go and do that.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of people who are interested in me doing a tour, taking them around.
Oh, that's fun.
So there you go, Nathan.
Wow. Okay.
So I maybe this year I'll get it together.
Yeah. What an interesting idea. That would be a lovely. Yeah.
Yes, and you can tell us about it, and you can help us debrief our experience.
Beautiful. Wow, that's fun. I like that.
You never know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's no limit to imagination. So, whatever people can envision could happen. So that's a lovely idea. I love that.
Yes.
It's fun.
Yeah. We could do a lunch together. That would be neat.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be with a group of mindful people or people who think alike, or at least with the labyrinth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that people know how to get in touch with you. I will do, I think I'll be leaving 3 links unless there are more that you want to share with me. But in the replay of this video, which I'll have up very soon after we're finished, I will include links to your website, which is labyrinthlady.ca.
Yeah.
I will also include a link to your Facebook page, which is Vancouver Labyrinth. And I will also include a link to your book, Walking the Labyrinth, which is available on Amazon, I'm assuming?
On Amazon, or if you want an autograph copy,
Well,
you have to go to my website.
okay. But yeah, so
Amazon.
okay.
Yes.
So basically, I'll put the link to those 3 things, and I'm sure that there are more offerings, including the things that you have for sale, the finger labyrinth and the vinyl labyrinths. People can access all that stuff from your website. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I have Pinterest, I have LinkedIn, Google Plus, Twitter.
Yep.
It's all on my website,
Yep.
and I know the links work.
Okay. Great.
Lots to do, Nathan.
Indeed. There's always a lot to do, I know. So do you feel complete, Diane? Is there anything that we didn't talk about? Anything else that you'd like people to know about your passion?
I would like to hear more about you sometime. So I think I'm going to have to go around and interview people.
I guess so.
It's kind of like a one-way, right?
Well, it's the focus is on you, and a little bit of me comes through all the time. But yeah, I'm happy to celebrate you and share your passion with the world. I think it's wonderful. So
yeah. Well, thank you, Nathan.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, it's been a good experience.
Good.
And now I have another experience with Lab.
Yes, and again, my apologies for it being so difficult for us to get through those technical hurdles, and I appreciate your persistence. So
Yes.
it was worth it,
Life
right?
is an adventure.
Yes,
Technology is an adventure.
indeed. It's wonderful when it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching Small Steps, Big Life, basically a show about people that I think are wonderful and inspiring, and getting them to talk about their big lives and the small steps they've taken to get to where they are today, and talk a little bit about where they're going from this point on. My guest today was Diana Ing, otherwise known locally here in the Vancouver, BC area as Labyrinth Lady. And there are 3 different ways that you can learn more about Diana. You can go to her website, labyrinthlady.ca. You can also visit the Facebook group, Vancouver Labyrinth, and there's pictures of Diana's favorite labyrinth there. And her book, Walking the Labyrinth, is available on Amazon. She has a few other products as well as her book on her website. And as she just mentioned, you could get an autographed copy if you get a book through the website. So there you go. All those links will be on the replay of this show, which I'll be putting up within the hour. So thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed this half as much as I have. Diana, thank you so much for your time and for your passion. I know that I'm hoping that you'll take the video of this show, put it up on your site so that people will really hear you talk about your passion. And I hope you get inundated with people who want to walk the labyrinth with you, do those tours with you, and celebrate Labyrinth Day on the first Saturday in May every year, never mind this year. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Nathan.
My great pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk to you again soon.
Yes. Thank you, Diana.
Bye-bye.
Bye.